All right, let's get right into it. You know those little habits we all have? The quirks and routines that kind of make us who we are? Well, what if I told you they're not random at all? What if they're actually a secret code?
Come on, you know what I mean. You're hunting for your keys, and suddenly you're narrating the entire search out loud. Or you're wrestling with a tough problem, and yep, you're in a full-on strategy session with yourself.
Oh, and this one. That feeling you get at a party when someone starts asking about the weather and you can physically feel your energy draining away, it's not just you being rude. For a lot of us, it's genuinely exhausting. So what do? We tend to write this stuff off as just personality flaws. We tell ourselves, oh, I'm just an awkward person, or I'm just weird like that. But here's the thing. Psychology says there's something way, way deeper going on.
That's right. Your habits are basically your brain's clever solutions to problems you might not even realize you have. They're messages. And in this explainer, we're going to learn how to translate them.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the most primal stuff, survival. Some of our most misunderstood habits have nothing to do with being difficult. They're all about your brain trying to keep you safe. Let's take a classic example. Maybe you have a habit of cutting people off. The common judgment? Wow, you're so cold. But the psychology behind it is fascinating. Your brain is this amazing pattern recognition machine, and it remembers past hurts. It knows that connection can sometimes lead to pain. So it's not being cold, it's being your own personal bodyguard. And this really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? The logic is kind of brutal, but it makes sense from a protective standpoint. Your brain figures, if abandonment is a possibility, it's better to be in control of the exit. It's a preemptive strike, all in the name of self-preservation. Now, this often leads to something called hypervigilance. And this isn't paranoia. It's more like your brain has become fluent in spotting red flags. You start noticing the tiny shifts in tone, the weird excuses, all the little things other people miss. Your threat detection system is just really, really well trained. And these survival strategies pop up everywhere. Hating crowds isn't you being antisocial. It's your brain trying to avoid sensory overload. Preferring your dog to most people? Well, that's just craving simple, unconditional love without all the human drama. Even going numb in a crisis is a form of armor. The main takeaway here is that all these behaviors are just different forms of protection. All right, so your brain isn't just a bodyguard. It's also like a super efficient CEO running the whole show. It's obsessed with optimizing performance and saving energy. And that leads to a whole other set of interesting habits. So people who love routine often get called boring or rigid. But the reality is their brains are being incredibly strategic. I mean, think about it. Why did people like Steve Jobs or Barack Obama wear the same outfit every day? They weren't trying to make a fashion statement. They were eliminating small, pointless decisions to save their mental energy for the big stuff. Your brain has this amazing toolkit for efficiency. Take decluttering. It's not just about being neat. See, all that physical clutter actually competes for your attention. So when you tidy up, you are literally creating more mental space. Or how about solving random puzzles just for fun? That's called cognitive play, and it's basically a workout to keep your brain sharp and optimized. And it all comes down to this key idea, cognitive load. You can think of it like the processing power on your computer. Every tiny decision, every distraction, every piece of small talk uses up some of that power. So habits that seem rigid are really just your brain's way of closing a few background apps so it can run faster and smoother. So what about talking to yourself? Well, it turns out it's one of the best efficiency tools out there. When you actually say a thought out loud, you take it from being this abstract swirl in your head and make it concrete. It gives you a little distance, so you can look at the problem like an outsider. Plus, it fires up multiple brain regions at once, which helps you find a solution way faster. And finally, let's talk about comfort. A huge chunk of our habits are really just about one thing, creating a sense of psychological safety. It's your brain trying to build a little sanctuary for you in this chaotic world. You know, someone might call you a homebody like it's a bad thing, but what's really going on? You're recharging. For so many of us, home is the only place we can take off the mask and just be. It isn't laziness, it's essential maintenance. Your home is the charging station for your soul. And our brains are so creative about finding comfort. Ever get the urge to clean when you're stressed? Well, studies show it can actually lower your cortisol, the stress hormone. Or how about loving winter? That feeling of being warm and safe inside while it's cold and stormy outside. Psychologists call that the contrast effect, and it's deeply comforting. These are all just ways your brain builds a cozy little nest. This next concept helps explain some of the more complex comfort habits.
It's called psychological reactance, and it's basically your brain's inner rebel kicking in when it feels a threat to its freedom. For instance, if you grew up in a house where food was super controlled, a habit like secret eating as an adult isn't about a lack of willpower, not at all. It's an act of rebellion. It's your brain's fierce attempt to reclaim a sense of autonomy. And this quote just captures it so perfectly. For some of us, the ultimate luxury isn't a loud party or a fancy vacation. It's quiet. It's peace. It's that one sacred space where you don't have to perform or explain yourself to anyone.
So, when we put all these pieces together, survival, efficiency, and comfort, a whole new picture of our habits starts to take shape. And it's one that's a lot less about judgment and a lot more about compassion and understanding.
If you take only one thing away from all of this, please let it be this. Your habits aren't flaws you need to fix. They are clues. They are a roadmap to your deepest needs. So think of this as your new decoder ring. The next time you catch yourself doing that weird thing you do, just ask yourself one of these questions. Is my brain trying to protect me? Is it trying to save energy? Or is it just trying to feel safe and comfortable? This simple reframe can change everything.
Because at its core, your brain is a problem-solving machine, and it is always on your side. A habit is just its automatic solution to a problem. So maybe the goal isn't to judge the habit, but to get really curious about the problem it's trying to solve.
Because it is talking to you all the time in its own secret, coded language of routines and preferences and quirks. And if you can just stop judging for a second and start listening, you might be amazed at the wisdom you find. So, what's it saying?